It's your girl Nkechi Blessing Sunday. I want you all to keep watching KAFTAN TV.
Please keep watching KAFTAN TV. It is the best TV station in the country. They're doing an amazing job. Please do not touch the dial. Keep watching. Thank you.
My name is Sheilo BCFR, the Black Comedian of the Federal Republic. I tell you, when it comes to the best of entertainment, the best of news, the best of information, something that is educative, you're right here at the best place to see that. It's KAFTAN TV. You know what? Increase the volume. Keep watching. Don't touch the dial, okay?
It's your girl Nkechi Blessing Sunday. I want you all to keep watching KAFTAN TV.
Please keep watching KAFTAN TV. It is the best TV station in the country. They're doing an amazing job. Please do not touch the dial. Keep watching. Thank you.
My name is Sheilo.
As you join us on Joy Asonye live here on KAFTAN television. My name is Joy Asonye. On the program today, we'll be focusing on two very important and trending stories in our polity. We'll first of all be talking about CBN's ease of cash scarcity, and then we'll move on from there to talk about the PDP chairman, that's the national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu's suspension move by executive members of his ward in Benue State. We'll be discussing all of this with Comrade Duke Alamboye. He is the national coordinator of Green Assembly Initiative and the national secretary, Nigeria Youth Organization. So good to have you join us this evening.
Thank you very much, Joy. It's a pleasure.
Okay, well, at this point, we'll just go for a short break and return to discuss more. This is still Joy Asonye Live. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that. Now, the 3 months cash shortage rocking Nigeria's economy would soon fizzle out following the commercial bank's compliance with the Central Bank of Nigeria's cash dispensary directive. Now, Nigerians have been made to go through harrowing experiences across all cash dispensing channels following implementation of CBN's Naira redesign policy. The Apex Bank last weekend also relaxed withdrawal policy, increasing the limit to 500,000 naira from 100,000 per week for individuals and 5 million naira from 500,000 for corporate organizations. I'll be asking my guests. I'd just like to start this conversation with how your experience was with the cash redesign policy of the CBN, and if you think that it was even necessary to go through all of that only to come back and have this backwards, if so, like some people would think it, this backwards policy or directive.
Well, for a while, this issue lasted in our country. I'm one of the persons that believe that the aim and intention for the redesign of the currency was genuine. CBN at the time looked at what they've put into the economy and discovered that lots of monies were not in use, and this is also causing lots of economic backlash to the Nigerian content. and it was so eminent and so necessary that they should redesign the currency to manage those excesses, financial excesses the economy was facing. I can tell you for free that almost 40 to 60% of Nigerian currencies were just dormant.
In people's homes?
Yes, in people's homes. Then in the arms of bandits. At the time, we saw so much demands from any Tom, Dick and Harry that could kidnap whoever, and those monies were just there. In circulation, money became scarce, and few money chasing fewer goods. There was a lot of inflationary periods where we went into economic downsizing and all of that. These things came in, and of course, one of the greatest persons this concerned was the regulatory body, that's CBN. So at a point in time, they came up with this policy to redesign the currency to tackle these issues that were coming to face the economy at the time. And coincidentally, it coincided with the election period, where we all know.
You do not believe that it was in fact the elections that precipitated the policy?
No. Most likely, it's part of what prompted that, but I don't want to believe that basically that was the essence. But of course, we saw a president that came up to say he wants to leave a free and fair elections to ensure that the transition. One of the cankerworm of our elections in this country is that of financial inducement, and if we allow that, we all knew that almost all the candidates of the political parties are well-to-do, and their intentions was to induce the election with money. So it coincided with that period, and it became also a rolling policy that did away with those excesses during elections. So I am aware that the CBN intention was not to create hardship, so to say, in the minds, in Nigeria, but to curtail certain issues. Yes, I agree with you that it has brought a little bit more of constraint in terms of
many people would say it is not a little bit.
Yes. Why I say a little bit? Because
really terrible
there are cadres of persons in the country. There are some people, like, for instance, myself. I can't see myself using 10,000 naira per day. I don't see what I'm doing with physical cash. People are not aware that the world is moving into that level. The CBN is looking at where you don't have much cash in circulation, so therefore there are so many things you control in the economy. Theft, that is even corruption.
Right.
But
with Nigeria having
very well. If bandits
if I may just ask this, do you think Nigeria was right for that kind of swift directive?
There was no time. There was no time.
Unbanked Nigerians that we have. Don't you think we should have had a better awareness and advocacy?
This is the same thing. Even in our electoral system, we kept on procrastinating. We are too young. Are we ripe enough to get democracy right? Until now that Buhari was determined to sign the electoral law, and we've given it a taste. And you can even see with me that people are still planning evils of democracy, irrespective of people trying to make the electoral process smooth. It's the same thing. There won't be any time that will be right. If you may ask me properly, there won't be any time than the time it gets started. So if we have a CBN governor that is willing and able to effect this law to match what is obtainable in the global citizen.
But you do understand, because for my viewers watching you now, they'll just think you're undermining the many sufferings they went through.
No,
it wasn't just about those who had the knowledge, the prerequisite knowledge to do the electronic transfers, electronic transactions. It now went further. I'm not sure how many of such transactions for you failed. So some people felt like we put the horse before the cart.
Joy, let me take you back to where we started having issues with this policy. Was when people holding funds couldn't return the money back to the CBN or to the banks, even the commercial banks they bank with. Because one thing I would have admitted the CBN do would have also taken leverage from the presidency on corruption charges. Because one fear people that have kept finance in their houses one issue they have is the ability to bring them back
into the
system,
the bank vault.
The bank vault. That was the issue. If these things weren't there and these monies were, I think about 2.something trillion.
Yes.
If it were
over
returned,
2 trillion.
Yes. If it were returned smoothly back to the commercial banks and returned back to the central banks, we wouldn't have been talking about the bridge we had.
Comrade Duke, I mean, you must admit that immediately this directive, this policy was made.
Yeah.
Economic analysts and economic consultants had come out to say there's going to be a problem. If you are trying to track funds from these human beings who you claim have these funds in their homes and in vaults in their offices or whatever, you must be very careful because they will fight back. So we saw a system where the regular Nigerian, I mean, I don't know how many had the old currencies in India. Exactly.
Yes,
but we saw governors go, one of them being a governor supporting that court ruling to get us back again, sending us backwards, I must say. Now, do you think that the CBN achieved the required benefit or what it was set out to achieve? Because at the end of the day, the new Naira notes were not in circulation, which could have replaced and made it a little easier and seamless for Nigerians. There were also the speculations and allegations of bank managers co-opting and collaborating with those who have the means in the society to give them more notes, more than the cash limit that the CBN directed. So would you say that having not strengthened the institutions very well, the many facets and chain of institutions that was necessary, the CBN had no business coming up with this Naira policy?
They had all business. Let me tell you something. The issues that was faced, I am not a staff of CBN, but in my own opinion, the issues that we faced in transiting from the old currency to the new currency was not the fault of CBN. CBN has not also anticipated that there will be this level of restraint in getting this policy right. The policy
that would be somehow that would be inadvertently calling them naive, because I could see from afar.
Can you allow me make my point? I'm coming. CBN had good intention for the country, and they have looked at the direction of getting positivity on this policy. Everybody, all the politicians in the country were aware that the policy was aimed at ensuring smooth running of financial transactions in the country to curtail so many things. Now, because we still have very selfish politicians that wouldn't allow this work, first of all, because of their preparations into elections. They know that they are not popular candidates. What their intentions were is to use monies to induce. So they felt that the whip was on them. This resultant effect affected the policy, the good intentions of the policy, hence redirecting its hammer or its strong strength to the lone Nigerian that has nothing to do with it. I keep insisting that wait that we got this thing right, everybody would have been enjoying the new currency rate and the currency control, fiscal currency control pattern that was designed. So the issue is not CBN, the issue is not structure, the issue is few Nigerians that are bent to seeing that, to ensuring that this country do not move forward except that it favors them.
Okay, now let's go to this election.
Sorry. The governors do not have anything to lose in this policy, because if their monies were in good condition, were with them, even in the vault, that is it is the state government's money, there is nothing wrong. CBN wouldn't fight. You saw when what they call INEC came up to start screening that they are not going to be able, they won't be able to run elections because of the financial restraint. CBN told them straight ahead, you shouldn't be complaining about that. There are processes actually they can bring out funds for them, and there is nobody that is working for INEC that is not registered enough to get funds through electronic transmission. Right. So the suffering we got from this policy is not the doing of CBN, rather people that are very interested in manipulating the system, that inability to return those funds back such that they will return money into circulation as quick as possible. This is where it was the line was drawn.
Are you then alleging that for those who approach the Supreme Court, for those who approach the Supreme Court, the state governors,
they approach the Supreme Court for selfish interests?
Right.
It was overwhelming. You know the country we have. You know the country we have today. They made it seem like it's a wrong policy at the wrong time.
Right.
But it was right. If we are conscious, if we really know, of course, I'm not saying that completely anything good can come quickly, as quick as the CBN wanted it. These are the issues in the policies. And that CBN did not take into cognizance that, look, people will revolt, not common Nigerians. Selfish Nigerians will revolt because they are also aware that the policy will render the currency they have ordered in their house, in their homes, useless.
Right.
So they fought tooth and nail, got the attention of the Supreme Court to invalidate that process. Of course, the CBN is not a household of its own. They have to get back to the rules of the Supreme Court. Of course, they also waited until the president would have given his verdict, and that's what happened. There's one other aspect that concerned me so much when you mentioned about transmission. Oh, okay, even though we're resorting back to that new policy of cashless society, fewer physical funds in the society, people should be able to transact electronically. Yes, it would have been a test run. The more that
a test run for a country of over 200 million Nigerians.
Yes, the more the transmission gets default, the more they would have pressured it up. But at the time now, we are faced with so many people doing transaction online, so many people crying for funds.
Right.
So it was pure distraction, and then we found ourselves in all of this rancor. But I still give kudos to the CBN, having had test run the system, see what has happened in Nigeria. The CBN governor and his team would have also now known that for this policy to work, if they want to still do it, side by side, like somebody advised that what would have happened is not totally retrieving the currency from circulation, but allow it flow side by side with the old currency, such that you begin to quietly eliminate the older currencies as they come, right, gradually while you introduce the new. But the question to that again is that how much or how many of those old currencies were coming in? The CBN at time was shouting that look, people are not returning the old currency. They can't bring in new currency. It will result to inflation. So these are the mix-up about this policy. It's not as if though the policy was meant to punish the Nigerian citizens. Would you say that yes,
the CBN succumbed because the Nigerian Labour Congress had threatened to go on a nationwide strike on Wednesday? Would you say that also contributed to the CBN ordering the commercial banks to release funds? And we also read where the commercial banks are admitting that monies are now being given. And while you're answering that, I would also ask, I remember the CBN coming to tell the world that the monies, the 1,500 naira notes have been destroyed, and that is why the president gave a directive that the old 200 naira notes could come back in circulation. Even though that did not really relieve Nigerians, do you think there is something not that we do not know about, but that there is something that's going on that Nigerians should be worried about with our Central Bank of Nigeria?
There's nothing absolutely wrong with the CBN operations. What is wrong is implementation. What is wrong is our ability to analyze correctly what is going on. We've moved into a section in this country that everybody picks what interests him in a system. If this policy didn't come in an election time, it's coming maybe after an election where they would have used money to influence elections, they would have bought it, because so many of them now will be running with those monies to the bank. So therefore, they would have embraced this policy, and those monies would have come back. Those new currencies would have come back in their hands. So we are discussing this matter very critically, and it has to be looked at in various stratas.
Right. Not the NLC dimension.
Now, the NLC had come in because they felt that Supreme Court had given judgment, and the CBN needs to carry out this this judgment and implement it. And the implementation process is getting slow. So CBN, Labour, of course, that's their civic right to ensure that, look, if this money do not come, we all know that one of the instruments that moves government in this country is strike and protest and all of that. So that warning, I also want to believe that contributed to CBN, putting CBN on its toes to ensure that there are enough funds in circulation. However, I am aware that CBN has already started the process of ensuring that they have enough funds in circulation. They've given orders to the commercial banks to even resume work on the weekends. This is the process to ensure that monies are being dispersed. And of course, we cannot eliminate the irregularities that even happens within the commercial banks, which is not necessarily the concern of the CBN, but they've also put up monitoring teams that will go around the country, the commercial banks, to ensure that they are doing the right thing. So vis-a-vis, I agree with you, Labour, the threats from Labour had also put the CBN on their feet. Not only the CBN, all the commercial houses on their feet to ensure that they do the right thing, release these funds that are given to them. You can see the old funds the old currencies are even floating more than even the new currency. So
yes, that's another thing that I wanted you to address. Yes. Is I know there was such a time there were allegations that the CBN said they could no longer print the new currencies. I know the CBN came out to debunk that, saying that of course we can print the new currencies, it's not a problem.
Yes, the issue was
however, we are now seeing that the old currencies, even in the release of the old currencies, we are not seeing more of these new currencies.
Yes, you would, because
it's fueling that speculation, don't you think? That CBN does not have the capacity to print more.
I think CBN is not doing something. CBN, the staff of CBN or the management of CBN are not really coming up in media, to the media face, to tell Nigerians the predicament they are facing. What they are facing is people not returning the old currency to the tune of 2.something trillion.
Exactly. According to the government.
Yes, so you don't expect them to print more newer currencies or new currencies. So until they analyze,
you need to also put something into perspective. In a case where it is obvious that your good intentions have been defeated, whoever or the bulk of Nigerians who had some monies, who had through the commercial banks able to mop up these monies again in new currencies to hoard, and commercial banks colluded with them to do that. If you have seen how defeated your process is, and Nigerians are indeed suffering, businesses really suffered in this whole process. I think it's time to readdress the situation without even waiting for the Supreme Court to come.
Yes, it's quite unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate, but I think there's no defeat here.
It seems defeated. You must admit that it seems defeated.
There's no defeat here.
Right now we are getting, if it's in a cashless policy, we are churning out and dispensing monies all over again. We have not done the advocacy necessary to get those unbanked Nigerians. I must admit, if there's anything to applaud this policy for, is the fact that we are having unbanked Nigerians who would never have probably thought of owning an account, owning one now. And while that can be very interesting, we have not seen the collaborating successes when it comes to electronic transfers. There's also that distrust in it. We've seen people being hacked without the prerequisite knowledge to understand how to manage electronically.
That's what I've said. I said that one thing CBN has not done is education, telling Nigerians what engaging Nigerians better. I think that is where they are lacking right now. However, I am also aware that banks have increased their internet services better than when this policy came new.
Well,
today
it depends on who you ask. It depends on who you ask, because I know people who have different opinions.
So many easy handles are out there to ease transactions, like the OPay, PAMPay, all those ones, they are out now.
If you advertise some more on my platform, you have to pay
to ease the financial transactions we're talking about. Nigerians are not really aware, vast majority of Nigerians are not really aware that this policy is intended to provide positive financial direction for the country. Right. So all they know is the shouts and illegal and worrisome allegations that were made by few politicians, and then they brought that in vis-a-vis or side by side the happenings, because if you go to the rural areas, they are not seeing money.
Exactly, which is new for a very long time.
Yes, which is new. But if CBN are taking their advocacy or their enlightenment down to those places,
well, I as a journalist, I mean, I saw that CBN had done jingles in local dialects and languages. There were billboards and all of that. But needed to be done. But you are sounding like a lone voice.
It needs to continue until this phase will begin to burn out. I want to advise that in as much as the more the old currencies are coming in, they should begin to exchange it. Even if they have 3 trillion in the circulation and all these 3 trillions are now new notes, it's better. They will not know that we are faced with those ones that are not being able to bank, and they now channel a new way of redirecting.
Okay, let's move the conversation to financial inducements. That's the vote buying. You keep mentioning how it stifled that inducement, but we also have records of inducement, and in fact it was surprising to see that these notes were indeed in some politicians' hands, where some were caught with several amounts of monies that Nigerians had been scrapping to even get a piece of, So would you say that it reduced or it completely diminished inducement?
Well, if you look at how the vote went in our country, you will know that yes, we had some good level of financial inducement at some quarters. It was not as rampant as it used to be.
Right. And you're a member of the PDP. Would you say that your political party got these monies and were able to
it mustn't be slipped to a particular political party. We're talking about
the whole conduct of the elections. But I can't ask you about other political parties.
All the political parties needed to have money to run the elections. There are monies for elections. There are monies for inducement. These are two different things.
I'm talking about inducement.
If you're talking about inducement, yes, I'm still insisting that there is no way that it's not magical. It's not magic that in our country, just 2023 election, we'll be able to eliminate financial inducement. But I'm saying that it was drastically reduced because, number one, CBN helped by limiting financial monies in circulation was reduced. So you saw people struggling even with the little they have. You saw commercial bank compromising to even give the big whips in politics, even the new currencies that people are looking for.
Right.
And then we also saw a situation where politicians made the election with hard currencies. So this is where I think they went to. So as time goes on, this things will improve. You cannot totally rule away financial inducement, but I can assure you that I can tell you for free that it was not as rampant as it were. If that went on, some political parties wouldn't have even gotten.
Well, some observers also said that there were in cases where, because the cash was so scarce, places where maybe inducement would have cost about 3,000, 5,000, 1,000 people were happy to get that. We got people who were excited to even see the 1,000. So if it is 1,000 you want, 1,000 naira you want for me to vote your candidate, and I will see the 1,000 naira cash, it was exciting enough. So would you say that in that case we saw a complete failure of this directive or this policy in curbing vote buying?
There wasn't any complete failure.
Right.
Joe, I insist. I said some of these politicians they have good amount of money in some banks. So the banks must also survive. If those persons have called to say, look, we need XYZ amount of money. The banks compromised, commercial banks, most of the commercial banks compromised the system and gave out monies that were above the restricted amounts to some politicians. So in totality, what I'm saying is the level of financial engagement we used to have in past elections is not the same, wasn't the same in these elections. But my surprise was politicians are also able to have hard currencies. So we saw more play of hard currencies to that of the new Naira notes.
Okay, Comrade Duke Alamboye, in your final words for Nigerians who had suffered so much in this redesigned policy and seeing that there's a reversal of some of those policies, what would your take be? What would you tell Nigerians?
Well, we should be patient. Nothing good comes easy. We understand that the change of the policies has brought lots of issues, and we can see the CBN redirecting itself, positioning the economy properly, and making sure that they bring out corresponding their efforts with that of the Supreme Court, the labor call and all of that, trying to see how they can make sure that there is enough money in circulation. But whatever pace we have to see that our country is moving very well, I think we should all embrace it and take the time. There's no good thing that comes that is so easy. So I know the CBN does not mean anything bad, no bad intention for the economy, but we know that some persons are out there to ensure that so far as it's going to affect them, they will fight it.
Okay, well, we're still discussing with Comrade Duke Alamboye, but at this moment we'll go for a short break. When we return, we'll be discussing IU's suspension move by executive members of his ward in Benue State. Stay with us. This is still Joy Asonye Live. We'll be right back.
Wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with KAFTAN TV 7 p.m. news.
Good to have you join us on KAFTAN News at 7.
Nigerians are living in up to 5%. Our young people, we broadcast the Harmony Symphony.
It's good to have you join us on KAFTAN TV News at 7.
What we found that the 10 naira not actually sufficient.
National, foreign news headlines. Get balanced, accurate facts on the latest news in business, politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Live from our studios.
Many thanks for watching. And join us again at 9
KAFTAN
p.m.
TV News.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Joy Asonye Live, where we've been discussing about the ease of cash scarcity by the CBN, and we're moving the conversation now to talk about something as trending as that, which is the PDP's national chairman, Dr. Iyachu Ayu, who recently was suspended by his ward in Benue State. Now, Dr. Iyachu has responded to the suspension by his ward executives of the party in Igoro ward of Boko local government area in Benue State. According to him, the purported suspension is an exercise in futility as it derives its strength majorly from gross illiteracy, ignorance, and desperation. The Ward ESCO suspended Ayu for alleged anti-party activities after passing a vote of no confidence on him. Now I have Comr Duke, who has been discussing with us. He's still here with us to discuss why would the Ward ESCO decide to suspend Ayu at the moment, especially with all the PDP is facing at this point. We know that the PDP did not really, they are in court at the moment to seek redress for the presidential mandate, according to him, the alleged mandate that was taken by the All Progressive Congress candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Is this the right time for the political party or the ward to heat up the polity or heat up the political party at this point? Do you think there is a monkey hand in this sport?
Yes, I want to agree with you that it's laughable. However, it's laughable because people have learned to be sensitive to situations. The party at the moment is faced with tribunal issues, like you rightly said, the courts trying to see how they can get their mandate. So this is a distraction. If you may ask me my own opinion, the ward executive that have done this would have been more sensitive to what is happening in the polity and not to eat up the polity. I also want to see it as a distraction. So they've come up with these are not their doings, these are sponsored by politicians to be done. So at the time it is distraction, at the time it is not correct to have done this. However, let us ask ourselves a frank question: do they have the rights?
No, before we go there, I would like us to take unbundling one at a time. What they considered was the reason for this vote of no confidence. Let's start with the anti-party activities which, according to the ESCOs, contributed to PDP's loss in his ward and local government. So when you see the dynamics of the 2023 elections or the build-up to the 2023 elections, you would see for the first time we saw political bigwigs and actors go against their political party to support or endorse a different person. Most laughable is the fact that the governor of the state had openly endorsed the Labour Party presidential candidate.
So that is where my worry is. Who asked the question? That's why I said it's laughable. These ward members, they are in Benue State. They were in the states. They would have been in meetings where the state governor, a PDP bona fide governor, gave an open instruction that his own political party presidential candidate shouldn't be supported, but that of the Labour Party should be supported. What name did they give to that? What name did the state executive give to that? What name did his own LGA?
Maybe they are not as proactive as the figure of
so it's laughable. And I kept, before the election, I kept saying that, look, the election will produce its dynamics. The laws, most of the politicians have not taken their time to study the laws, the new electoral laws. So it's going to be dynamic. Any party that has produced incompetent candidates will suffer it. Their members will not sit down and say because party is supreme. You saw that at the time the electoral law became supreme because people were yearning for good governance, people were yearning for good capacity candidates. So it left people at will, at their own whims and caprices. What I'm saying is that people will move from different lines, even though they are card-carrying members. They will vote their choice for all the strata of elections. They might be voting differently when it comes to presidency.
But you must admit that's not what we saw.
That is what we saw.
I mean, we saw a case where I want to vote Labour Party. It was Labour Party all the way. You didn't necessarily know the National Assembly member.
That there were certain things happen in omission. Certain things happen in ignorance. Now, there were so many calls. Nigerians, youthful Nigerians, largely youthful Nigerians, called for a massive vote for the Labour Party presidential candidate.
Right.
Good. So that election was not one. That election was 3 in one election.
Exactly.
The presidency, the senatorial election, and the House of Representatives election.
Right.
So some persons, for the bitterness of that moment, went ahead to vote for all 3.
But that contradicts what you just said.
Some other
earlier.
persons went to say we are party members, but we are supporting A at this level. We are going back to our party at this level. Some are saying that no, for this level, for the presidential level, we are taking our party. But for the House of Representatives, people voted differently. There was no time. Let me give you a shocker. In Rivers State, an instruction was given, but people went against it. It was massive and it was shocking.
Yeah, I got to hear the instruction.
And that is because voting past that stage, awareness moved past that stage where leaders will just come out and say we are all going to A. If you have instructed we are all going to A, and in their conviction A is right.
Can you go back to
I'm not going back to that.
I would really like us to know, because the governor had said he would give an instruction.
Yes, he gave the instruction, and the instruction went that way. So what I'm saying here is that
so he went against the political party, because
that is
presidential elections, the APC did very well in Rivers State. Could that be what he meant by the instruction he was given to?
I'm not in the right position.
People?
I'm not in the right position to verify that. In the presidential election, I know that what I know for a fact is that the Rivers State governor at the time was not happy with his party.
But not just happy,
so many things would have happened. So many things would have happened. Either he would have boycotted the election, or he didn't really.
Let me ask you directly, Comrade Alamboye. Yes. You were in Rivers State. Yes. You are a PDP member. Yes. I'm not sure whose divide you stand.
There was no divide.
There was a divide. There's a faction.
For me, there was a faction.
There is a Atiku, those who are sympathetic to the Atiku move, and those who are sympathetic to the G5, the leader being your governor. Now I want to ask where you stood in that, and what direction, how did you vote? Did you vote the PDP?
I'm clearing you again. I never had any problem with Atiku. I never had any problem with the governor of my state. I stood PDP straight.
Right.
Straight, all through I stood PDP. So I'm not involved in their problem. I was involved in the capacity that I want to see. I was involved in the good governance I'm looking at. I was sure in my conviction, myself and my team, that Atiku should be the right presidential candidate of our country. I was sure that the House of Representatives, House of Senate that PDP has rolled out in my state, they were very fantastic. I was very sure that Sim Fubra was capable, was ripe and good.
So let's talk about the allegations.
So this is what I know that I stood for, myself and my team. We stood for, and we delivered.
There were a lot of people who were attacked, violently attacked. There were chieftains of the PDP who were sympathetic to the Atiku movement, who were attacked because they were sympathetic to Atiku's movement, or so they allegedly said. Now, for just clear up an allegation that because they were attacked, they were very strongly against the successor, the governor-elect of Rivers State, who is Sim Fubara, and asked people to rather vote the APC in the state for governorship. That's the PDP faction that was sympathetic. Would you agree to that allegation?
I reiterated again, I was never involved in any of
but did you get such directive?
I can't say I never had any directive as such. Never.
Would you say that?
And I wouldn't have even placed myself for such directive.
Would you say that
I've grown politically myself to this moment, and with my large followership in the country, so I must be distinct in whatever I'm doing. I was never at any time involved in the tussle between my governor and the presidential candidate.
However, having seen what transpired, the G5 concept and all of that, would you say your Governor Wike, deserves a suspension, just like we have heard of Fayose, former Governor Fayose, Pius Anyin,
if the party
and Autumn, who has been called for the disciplinary committee?
If the party
in your opinion,
Yes, if the
having
party-
seen your governor go against the flag bearer of the political party, not just going against, there were some unprintable words that were used. It was like an intention to undermine the person of the PDP presidential flag bearer just so that he does not win. Would you say that he deserves suspension?
All right, now, if the party have its structure, the party have its authority, the party have what you call their party constitution, which is supreme the party. If the party set up, the elections are over. If the party decide to set up a mechanism to investigate his activities in all of the elections and find him culpable that it was wrong, his activities were wrong in tenets with their constitution, then they deserve a suspension. If they are not validly, they cannot find any. It should also be let free. So I have not seen, the governor had not sat with me one-on-one to give me directions to start to vote for A or B. We all heard what happened. So it's not left for the party to hold his strength to investigate this.
A couple of hours ago, your governor also alleged that it was the right thing to do for Dr. Iyocha Ayu, the PDP national chairman, to be suspended. And it begs the question, could this be the G5 trying to do what they had hoped to do from the G5?
The G5 had not come up to own what is happening in Benue State, but I am very convinced that those is sponsored, is makeshift, make believe, because those people at the time, if they are very sensible, they know that this is not the right time to do that. So I think this just like I said, is to keep the mix up in the PDP, keep going while they struggle in the courts. It's distraction. So, but I want to advise that the IU should be more focused on what concerns him now. But for him to go, I also support that he should leave, but not at a time when the party has not gotten his fix. The election had not been concluded. It has gone into legitimate aspect of it. It has gone to the court. So he will still stand to ensure those processes are gone. And for now, he shouldn't even need any form of distraction. He should keep doing his work. But when the party is stable,
would you say this thing you term distraction, these hurdles you term distractions are the reason the PDP did not win the presidential elections?
Well, there are so many reasons. That's if you want me to analyze.
Yes, I would like to analyze what went wrong. In retrospect, you have to go back and see why you failed.
I think to a larger extent, I wasn't personally comfortable that the issues between the G5 and the party were settled. I made frantic effort. I wrote to my governor several times, calling his attention that I would really want to bring the National Youth Constituency to see him and discuss these issues. But at every time he gave us appointments, we couldn't make up. And I don't want to believe that if it's deliberate, but that they didn't settle. The party lost a lot. You are seeing the results. The G5, even in their own performances, lost a lot, with the exception of Wike and I think Fayose. Was it Fayose? Yeah, I think. These are the two persons that
Makinde
of Oyo. Apart from them, the rest of them did very, very badly, and that is because the tussle, both sides try to pay each other when it comes to their side of controlling the coin. So it was not good for the party. It was disastrous for the party. And again, allowing P2B to have moved away from the PDP. If you see the election, if you can analyze the election properly, the stronghold ab initio of the PDP used to be the East. But you saw a P2B that came and swept the whole of that side, which means if you were in the PDP, that strength would have still been given.
But what would the PDP have done? P2B was not ready to be a running mate.
That would have been left in the hands of God. But what I'm saying is that these were the rancors, these were the issues that made them losing. Instead of the APC taking them to court, they are the ones going to court.
Right.
So it was not healthy allowing the G5 to move. It was not also healthy allowing P2B to move. Whether they wanted to come back or they didn't want to come back, that's a discussion for another. But I'm very sure that these issues really stopped the PDP from having a overwhelming vote in the 2023 election.
Okay, so in his reaction to the purported suspension, Dr. Iyorchia Ayu mentioned Article 57, subsection 7 of the Constitution of the PDP that prohibits any organ of the party or executive committee of the party at ward or state level from taking disciplinary measures against any member of the National Executive Committee, that's the neck of the party. Now, do you think that these people already knew this aspect of the law, but are just setting something in motion, bearing in mind what happened with the APC and Governor Shomole when he was national?
If you say that, if Ayu is going to say that, it then means that there are certain people that are above the constitution of the party. Is that what he's going to say? I am also aware, I can't quote the section per se for now, but I'm aware that the party's constitution also said that nobody is above the law. Party activities is local. What that means is that you must acquire your locality. That is why during election, where your strength for negotiation comes is your ability to win your units, down to your ward, down to your LGA, and so on and so forth. That's what you bring to on table. So are you saying today that because he is the national chairman of the party, there shouldn't be any trace back on what he's doing as a member of the party? That is not true. He can never, no political party national executive will remain in Abuja for an election. Every other person would have gone to his unit to win for the party. So if you're not doing well there, they have the right to suspend you.
Right. So
irrespective of position, but I know that it has proceedings. It has level of, the level it should take. That's so far as it's coming from. It is coming from ward level. It would have gone to the LGA. From the LGA, if the LGA assent to it, it goes to the state level. The state will assent to it, and it becomes an evident permission. The state is saying that this man cannot represent us. So I think that is where he's taking his basis from. If I don't think that because you are you are not above the party. Who will suspend Ayu? Is it the National Working Committee that will suspend him? Is it his unit that can suspend him?
Let's mention another part, provision.
That is why when you want to get your membership of any political party, you go to your unit and get your membership card to come. So they have that right to admit you. They have that right to pull you off.
Okay, there was also that the fact that he didn't vote or allegedly did not vote during the governorship and state assembly elections. Is that enough to also add to the reasons for suspension?
That is wrong. That's no basis. It has no basis whether he's voted or not. It has no basis.
How about the fact that he was accused of not paying his annual
yes,
fees,
of course.
annual dues as enshrined by the party constitution?
Of course, he should know if there are statutory dues to be paid. He should know. When they are sent to certain positions. Sorry to say, that is why I admire my state governor so much, irrespective of he has one or two excesses, but he is one of the best politicians we have in this country. No doubt. Wike will not do such mistakes. Before your planning A is a D. And that is the proactiveness of politicians who want to see in this country. Not those are politicians, because you're party chairman of a political party, you forget your responsibilities. Most of them don't even go home to service the unit. They don't even know what is happening at their unit, at their ward level. They don't even know at their LGA level. They don't even know. They only go there during the election and ask questions. They only go there when it is beneficiary appointments. So this is what they lack. So if they are going to hold him responsible as the number one citizen of the party, that he is not paying his dues, is untold, and he shouldn't say that he cannot be removed from that unit. He should.
You just mentioned something that made me giggle a bit. I mean, for someone who could not clinch the party flag during the primaries, I'm surprised you're giving him kudos as being a strong politician, one with in-depth knowledge of politics.
Wike,
that's your governor.
That doesn't mean that he's going to win every election.
Yeah,
it does mean that, and I don't want to go into the primaries of the PDP. I wouldn't want to go there. They have held their primaries. Atiku Abubakar as a mayor, we have supported Atiku Abubakar for the election. That is where I'll end it. That is a guru in politics, does not also mean that he does not have his weakness. He has his weaknesses. So
that will cost him something as strong as a presidential bid.
As it came out, and that is his first time. We are proud of him.
And allegedly, a running mate. He was supposed to be the running mate. Allegedly, he was interested in that, even according to speculations as well.
I'm glad you said allegedly.
According to speculations as well, but we can't put away speculations and allegations like that. But it's in your place to now confirm.
He still ran his election. He's still very afloat. He's still very lively in politics.
When you say he ran his elections, I don't understand.
He has held River State. He has done very well in River State. He has produced his successor.
Is that not worrisome for you when you say an outgoing governor produced a successor, as against having to say that a successor emerged having strongly contested for this? And I say this because a lot of people in River State would admit that they haven't even seen Fubara, the governor-elect. They didn't see him as much campaigning as much as they saw.
That is wrong. That is wrong.
So even in the media, I saw more of Wike campaigning for his candidate than I saw.
That is the strength.
Than I saw the candidate himself.
Joy, what is campaign? You think campaign is a jamboree? Campaign is the strength to your ability to tell what the LG you're going to, your ability to tell them what they need to know about development, benefits of democracy, benefits of government. You think campaign is just to go and wear cloth and then shout to music?
Yes, that's what campaign is in Nigeria. And if the governor is able to shout and do
if the governor won and understood the needs and aspiration of Rivers people, and I've known that in his tenure, because of time limit, he has not been able to complete his project, but that the party has brought out Fubara to continue with this good deeds he's doing in the state. That should be it. Why is Lagos progressing? If you look at from the beginning of democracy, why is Tinubu boastful of his successes in the country? Because immediately he left Lagos as governor, he kept the president, and that is what has been followed. So successive governors have followed those blueprints. Go to Lagos and see what is happening. So there's also issue when continuity stops. Another governor comes in, dump the projects. So most laudable projects of
exactly, but
we didn't even do that. We came into power, completed all the projects, and basically couldn't finish in his tenure.
So you see, it had nothing to do with the fact that you have to hold on to the successor.
You're not following River State politics.
No, but because you need to understand, this is Nigeria where we have the issue. There's a fine line between a mentor and a godfather, one who would influence everything in your governance, and we do not see this person who has emerged to express his developmental plans for the state, for instance. So when you now say that it's such a good thing to have the governor have so much influence, it's concerning. I'm not saying.
In the time of your practice throughout this electoral process, are you sure you're involved? You didn't see the 5 blueprints of the 5 point agendas of Fubara? They are out there. You can Google them and get them.
Right.
We must not see Fubara and Wike. They are different characters. People are mistaking those characters.
So you do admit I'm not the only one.
Yes, people are mistaking those characters and thinking that they are going to see a stronger character. Sorry, 1 minute, please. People are
less than a minute.
Less than a minute. Okay. People are thinking that we are going to see a strong character like Wike in that of Sim. Sim is a quiet achiever.
Right.
So you must not be having that shouty character or bold character. Wike as imposed, right? As posed.
Comrade, we really have run out of time, so thank you so much for your contributions to the program today. This is Joy Asonye Live. My name is Joy Asonye. Do have a pleasant evening. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, to continue with the national.